welcome to NBL Canada Live this week. I am Kobe Kay, joined alongside my partner as always, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Brett Hedges, bringing you the absolute best in weekly highlights, game recaps, power rankings, and of course, our exclusive player interviews, your one-stop shop for all things NBL Canada related. Brett, before we get into this thing, you and I were on deck for the return of Bill Jones. What a night it was. The Express were able to put away the London Lightning, close in the fourth quarter. This is the guy that sort of didn't get the credit he deserved, if you will. I mean, all coaches sort of are a little bit in the shadows, and such an intricate and important part of the team's first two championships in Windsor, played at an NBA level. You know, I said it before, I'll say it again. He gets the best out of his players and has an ability to get everybody to play together. They just really seem to rally around him. Such a leader, such a good thing for Windsor, and of course for the NBL.
Absolutely, yeah. Coach Bill Jones is definitely the emotional leader of the Windsor Express franchise for the last 3 seasons. He's our only head coach. He's got a 97-56 record now, so his record speaks for itself. And like I said, he is the absolute emotional leader on this team. He gets the most out of his players, like you said. And I spoke with him before, and he said basketball is his life. It meant everything for him to be back on that sideline. So he was very happy that the appeal process went through to get his suspension reduced. The league is a better place to have Bill Jones in it. And I spoke with Tony Bennett before the game with London, and he believes that with Tony Jones and Bill Jones now at the helm with the Windsor Express, they are a very dangerous team, and I have to agree.
Yeah, and you made some good points at the game we were at against London. He helped this team to 10 wins, and now they get the best of both worlds with both Coach Joneses on the sideline. Well, folks, let's get you all caught up with your in-game action, taking a look at all of the stuff that went on over the last 7 days with your NBL Week in a Flash.
This is NBLC in a flash. Heading into the week, the Halifax Hurricanes were riding a 3-game win streak, but that ended when they split their 2 games they had, starting off with the Moncton Miracles, who were under a new regime and being managed by a brand new head coach, Paul McKeskey. Coach Mo started off with a bang as the Miracles stole a road win 98-93 over Halifax on the strength of 23 points from Dexter Strickland, 18 from James Justice, and a 15-rebound, 10-point double-double night from Thomas Granado. Moncton continued their winning streak on Friday with a 114-85 triumph over the visiting Orangeville A's. Brandon Kearney, who was drafted in the first round of the 2016 NBL Canada entry draft, led all the Miracles in scoring with 23 points, while Dexter Strickland added 7. Jaron Jamerson led the Miracles in rebounding with 9. Speaking of the A's, they turned up empty on their disappointing road trip where they lost all 4 games by a total of 121 points. Prior to the game against Moncton, the A's suffered one of the worst losses of the team's 3-year history with a 147-102 decimation at the hands of the St. John Millrats. The first game of the trip saw them lose 106-95 to the Storm in a matinee affair on Islander Day. The Storm had hoped that their win against the A's would be a good kickstart as they got ready to face off against the Halifax Hurricanes, but the Nick Evans 1-game suspension left a gaping hole in the middle, and Mike Glover capitalized, going for 31 points and only missing 1 shot from the field. The Canes took the victory 107-99. The London Lightning would also split their 2 games in a week that would see them face the Windsor Express twice. Windsor is responsible for 3 out of the 4 Lightning losses thus far. London took the first game at home 104-98 on the strength of a 19-point effort by Akeem Wright. They would then travel to the WFCU Center later that week and drop a close one. 91-88 was the score. In addition to the 2 games against London, the Express also paid a visit to the Meridian Center to face the River Lions, who were playing their only game of the week. It was the veterans Chris Commons and Brandon Robinson who were the highest scorers for Windsor and helped their squad walk away with a 97-93 win. Their 2-1 week would help the Express eclipse a 500 mark for the first time this season. The biggest highlight of the week for the Express would undoubtedly happen off the court as the league decided to reduce the season-long suspension of Coach Bill Jones, enabling him to return back to the bench. The St. John Millrats had only 1 game this week against the A's, and it was a wild one. On Multiculturalism Night, the Millrats were hosting over 300 Syrian refugees and their welcome families, and they definitely were in for a treat as Anthony Anderson went off. Double A had an historic outing that saw him become the 2nd player in league history to finish with 50-plus points on the night. His 51 points came from a 14 for 22 effort from the floor, shooting 9 for 15 from three-point range and 14 for 16 from the free throw line. The game itself was a complete blowout that saw the Mill Rats swell the lead to as many as 61 points. And that's your NBL Canada Week in a Flash.
Welcome back to NBL Canada Live this week. Next up, we're going to be looking at our three top stories from around the league. And for me, it was AA Anthony Anderson dropping 51 on the Orangeville A's. The St. John's Mill Rats guard, 5'11", plays like he's 6'8". He had 30-plus not too long ago. NBL Canada Player of the Week, does it again. This guy is just electric. A cornerstone in the community, can really get it done on any given night, put the team on his back. 18 points per game, 6 assists, 4 rebounds. I mean, he does it all, and he's just really a leader in the engine for that team. When they need a real push, he's their go-to guy.
Yeah, and he's been their go-to guy for the last 5 seasons. He's been a humongous part of the build that's been in St. John as the league has continued there. A phenomenal talent. He can drop double-digit points in a single minute, it seems, and he's really been a driving force for this league. The fans love him in St. John, and rightfully so. He's fantastic. I can't say enough about AA, and I'm really excited to see him play at the WFCU Center later this year with you. For me, my top story of this week is the hiring in Moncton of Paul Makowski, an NBA veteran for 14 seasons, just as much coaching experience. This guy gets it done and knows what it takes to play at a championship level. He was an assistant with the Brampton A's previously before, but the thing that stood out to me when I was researching about Paul, or Coach Mo as he's more affectionately known as, is that when he was in a player development role, he helped win a national NBA championship with the Dallas Mavericks. That says a lot about a guy that can assume a role like that, get guys going, and get them playing at a professional level. He's got a lot of stints in the NBA D League and other professional leagues, and his success as a head coach has already translated. Moncton, in their first game under Coach Mo, defeat Halifax 98-93, and a good defensive performance. The team was scoring at will, had one of the highest ranked offenses in the league, but their defense wasn't allowing them to win games. And now with the simple principles that Coach Mo has given them, Moncton seemed to kind of take a step forward, and maybe they're my dark horse in the Atlantic Division.
Well, certainly we know that defense wins championships, and like you said, this was a team that could score at will. So you add those defensive principles, and all of a sudden you have a dangerous basketball team. The next story for me is the Windsor Express's homestand that already began. They beat the London Lightning. They have 3 more games at home before they go back out on the road, and this is a really, really important time for them to make a statement and a push up the ladder in the Central to try and catch the London Lightning. Now, we know that they beat the London Lightning this year, but it was a big game regardless because it was the return of Coach Bill Jones. You know, Theo Davis back in the lineup and Rudolph Jolly. These guys really provide some size in the interior and can allow them to compete down low with the other bigs in the league. This is a team that plays championship level defense, but really struggles on both sides of the boards. So I think these guys automatically make this team better and bigger. And I think if they can get out of here with 3 wins, maybe 4 if they're lucky, they're in really good shape and in a driving seat in the Central Division. And we know this rivalry has gone on since this league began. Both teams with 2 championships respectively. But Windsor-London, I mean, these are the best games. If anyone's watched them or been to them, they're just fantastic. And Saturday, was no different for us. Fantastic game. But I think right now it's time for the Windsor Express and Coach Bill Jones to really make that push.
Yeah, and anytime you've got home games, it's really important that you take care of home court. You know that the Windsor Express have had a lot of success on home court in the past, and I'm sure now that Jones is back at the helm, that's not going to change. Not to say that other teams aren't going to come in and try and knock them off now. They know that Windsor's riding an emotional high. It may be time for them to try and knock them off a peg for sure. And one of those coaches that I'm sure would like to take a shot at the Windsor Express is PEI Island Storm coach Joe Salerno, the all-time leader in wins in the season. He sat down with Marty Thompson of the London Lightning in this week's coach interview.
Thanks. I'm here with Island head coach Joe Salerno. Joe, you're the most winningest coach in NBLC history. Talk a bit about that. I mean, it's quite an achievement to say.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I think I give an awful lot of credit to the Storm organization, itself. I think just having the longevity that I've had with them and keeping a consistency, with myself and our coaching staff all together, I think that's a big reason why we've been successful as an organization over the last 3 or 4 years. So, it's a nice milestone to hit. It's something I'm proud of. But there was a lot of people, like I said, my assistant coaches, the ownership group, my wife, people like that supported me through it. So, it's a nice thing to have.
Looking back to that first year, I know you guys didn't have the best year, but that patience in that ownership group really proved to be very valuable for this franchise.
Oh, no question at all. I mean, coming into that first season, I think I was hired about 3 weeks before training camp started. So I really didn't have the opportunity to put the players in place that we may have wanted to. We went 12-24 that season, and that's a record a lot of coaches could get fired for. So Duncan Shaw, he just showed a lot of faith, and he believed in me, and he brought me back. And since then, it's worked out pretty well for all of us.
When it comes to the on-court stuff, we've been told for years that the league's very much like a guard-heavy league. We've been told certain things, but the league's been progressing so much. What are some big technical things that have changed with the league in terms of how these teams are playing and how these players are playing? Yeah,
I think really it's just the talent overall. And I think one thing you have found now is basketball in general over the last 10 years, bigger players are becoming more skilled. And I think that's something you see in this league with guys 6'7", 6'8", that can play the 3 or the 2-3. That changes the game a lot. It changes the game from, it's more of an up and down game. And it seems like it's more guard heavy because those players, it seems like there's 4 guards on the court all the time, So that's one thing I think just the talent overall of the league continues to get better every single year. We're seeing higher end college players coming in from some of the best programs, in the United States, and it's really it's a tough league for sure.
One last question: most talented player that you got to coach over these 5 years?
Oh man,
Nick Okori, maybe?
Well, Nick would be right there. He would certainly be right there. Nick Okori comes to mind. Brandon Robinson, I had him for a couple years as well. Omari Johnson, who's playing in the D League right now. He was with the Trailblazers training camp. But if you're talking pure talent, Josiah Turner, the guy who we actually just recently picked up, played for me 3 years ago, just an extremely talented point guard. So I've had a lot of them over the past. I've been very fortunate to have those guys. And, it's a big record, a big reason why that record was broken, those guys.
Perfect. All right, well, we'll wrap it up. Thank you very much. Back to you guys.
Welcome back to NBL Canada Live this week. Earlier, I was able to speak with Atlantic Division correspondent Vince Williams about everything that's going on in the Maritimes. Here it is. Welcome to the NBL Canada Live podcast. I'm here with our Atlantic Division correspondent Vince Williams. Vince, thank you for joining us today. Welcome to the NBL Canada podcast.
No problem, guys. Thanks for having me.
Now, a lot of things happening in the in the Atlantic Division, pardon me. Can you just let us know what's been going on in the last 7 days in the Maritimes?
Well, there's been a few changes in the Maritimes, in particular with a few different teams. If we want to break it down and start with the Mountain Miracles with their coaching changeover, Serge Land just getting the show in the door and a new coach coming in, and Paul McKeskey. And just the right off the bat, his team has responded. Huge win on the road, beating the first place Halifax Hurricanes, and then they were able to basically dominate for 48 minutes over the Orangeville A's. But they are a good basketball team. I mentioned it various times that the guard play from the Mountain Miracles has been outstanding. They've done a good job with their guard play, and they're tough to handle, and they got a pretty good record at home. It's not stellar, but at 6-4, that's pretty positive. You want to be around the 500 mark or plus, especially at home. You want to win your games at home and hold court there, and then try to steal a few games on the road. But they are a team that's definitely on the rise. Now, a team that's not on the rise right now would definitely be the Island Storm. Coach Salerno has, been a staple in this league since day one. He's the most winningest coach in the league's history, over 100 wins, plus 100 wins. So, I mean, he knows how to win. He knows how to get it done. He knows how to bring guys together and put together his systems and be very successful. But this year it's been a little bit of a struggle. They've changed over 6 different players. They brought in some new faces, hoping to bring together that team unity, that winning combination, and it just hasn't shown up as of late. Now, the other team in the division that you need to look out for is also the St. John Millrats. Now, the Millrats have an outstanding combination where we're talking about guard play. Again, they have 3 outstanding guards, meaning they have 2 of those guards are league MVP, Kate Freeman and Anthony Anderson. And then you mix Doug Herring Jr., who can pretty much put the ball on the floor, get to the rack, finish at the rim, and also hit the shot from deep. You got Ricky Volpe in the starting lineup. He's 6'10". He can stretch the defense and knock down threes. So Coach Bond has a very good combination. And Ian McCarthy has put together a good team where they rely on offense, but they also have defense, because they also have the number 1 shot blocker and rim protector in the league, and that's Anthony Stover. If you look at the Millrats, you say, okay, well, how can we beat this team? Well, it's going to be difficult. The Hurricanes haven't been able to figure it out. They played 4 games, and they have not been successful trying to beat the St. John Millrats. I mean, there's a lot of talent out here, and I mean, there's a lot of teams get to see from the Central Division, get to see the guys from the Atlantic Division, because you only get a few different stops where the teams from the Atlantic Division will go to the Central for a few different games, and then vice versa. The Central will come down here for a few different games. But it's basically rounding up to be a very interesting championship series come playoff time.
Yeah, I was just about to say, it should make for some very exciting basketball. It's always a grind to get to the NBL Canada Finals, midway point of the year, and it should make for a really exciting second half. Vince, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being our Atlantic Division correspondent, and have fun with those Halifax Hurricanes. Make sure to check out Vince on the live stream.
Yeah, no problem, guys. Thanks for having me, and it's always a pleasure.
Absolutely. Take care, Vince. Appreciate your time, and have fun. Enjoy basketball, my friend.
Take care.
All right, folks, that's going to do it from all of us here at NBL Canada Live this week. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube. Check us out on nblcanada.ca. But don't go anywhere yet, and enjoy our highlights of the week. Peace.
To White and Flush City. Billy White wakes up the Scotiabank Center crowd. Another block.
Well, spit the fake right there. Skips aside for the alley-oop. Slam dunk by Marcus Capers. You better believe. Stolen away by Strickland. He's breaking. Oh! And one on the dunk!
And Denny McDonald, he had to make sure he didn't get that one on the rim.
Fans making some noise as we get a chance to take a look at that beady one-handed flush.
Hate to see what their hands are like at the end of year too. Beautiful dunk right there from Marcus.
He got Ward. Ward drives inside a little alley-oop, and that's a beautiful.
Corey. Oh my goodness! Nick Corey to Marcus Capers.
Then he got it jumped again.
Strickland's going to attack the hoop.
Justice. Bounce pass to Beatty, and with the flush, Tydran Beatty.
Trying to set for the final shot. Oh, Corey dips it out well. And a block. What a block by Chris Commons. Unbelievable.
And hopefully be back next.
This is just unreal. Wow. I don't even know what to say right now.
Goes away from the screen, but attacks anyway.
Ooh,
He's
big
blocked by
block.
Cordell.
Wow.
Blocked.
High fives from his teammates. Everybody in the stadium standing up, applauding.